We're headed to Metamora, Indiana, and I really like Metamora because it's got a lot of 1800s style buildings that are still intact. It's got a canal running through it, and it's a very quaint little town with wonderful 19th century architecture. I had originally gone to college for architecture. After 1 quarter of architecture with not a good experience, I started to take my photography classes. That quarter they opened up a brand new, completely dedicated photo building, and it was sort of like, you know, a dream. When I was starting out in photographing, some of the better work that I was doing was photographs of these really interesting buildings in Savannah. And I was getting a lot of good feedback from my professors, and in a history class, I learned about Walker Evans. And when I saw his work, it was sort of like, you know, wow, like, you know, a light bulb went off, sort of exactly like what I like to do. And it was really nice to find somebody's work that was very similar to the way that I thought, and reading more about him and what he was attracted to and what he photographed was very similar to the way that I liked to work. Oh, the pink house. Oh, I see caution tape around it. That's not good. Oh, I love this house. I just keep coming back, and I love to, I don't know, try to photograph it in every different possible way. It's this very kind of Queen Anne pink and white, with white trim and a white wrought iron fence, but it's completely been falling apart for quite some time, but it's still got that wonderful pale pink color. It's just a cool house. The Holga appeals to me. I've been using this camera since I was an undergrad, so a little over, I would say probably about 22 years. Run film through maybe 20 different Holgas or Dianas or other kinds of medium format plastic cameras. This one is kind of what I call my magic Holga. It does what it's supposed to do, or what I mean for it to do. It seems to be the one that works the best for me. I usually have another backup. This one is loaded with 800 speed film. The only thing different about it is it's got the silver, costs a little bit more money. When they're $20, or, you know, the most expensive one I think I've ever bought was $60, it's not hard to kind of be a collector. It's got a beautiful lean to it. I feel like I might touch it and it can fall over. Light's a little harsh here. My lens hood is my hand. You know, teaching, I fell into the job. It fell into my lap as a full-time teacher at a time when I needed a job, and it was perfect. And obviously I've been there for 14 and a half years at this point, and I love it. When I have students, you know, on Facebook post things to my wall like, oh, I saw this and it made me think of you, and it's some historical photographic thing, I think, awesome. You know, like, that's exactly what I'm doing it for, you know, opening up these people's minds and worlds and putting out into the world, hopefully, some really talented people that are in love with the medium as much as I am. One of the things, you know, about photography, we're incredibly sort of technology-based these days, but I think it's really important to understand where the medium has come from. I think it's important to understand how, even within the movements of art, photography has evolved over the years. People get in discussions about, oh, every photograph has been taken. I don't believe that at all. I think that when you have the vision for something and you can understand all of the different many aspects of how you could create it, how you can use photography, I think the better of an artistic photographer you can be, because you can understand how to translate your vision into, you know, an actual project. So I think understanding how photography has evolved over the years is pretty important. What is a photographer? That's a tough one. There's a lot of different ways you could approach that question. I think a person with a camera can be a photographer. I think a person who takes photographs for a living could be a photographer, definitely. I think I'm more of a kind of or type of photographer that I do refer to myself as a photographer, though I teach photography for a living. I am a photographer first. And I think that I get great joy, passion, energy, excitement out of creating images. And that's how I would define myself as a photographer.